Hi, everybody. I'm Sandy Miodo Gugis with Profound Way. This is Gracie. Um, Welcome. One of my Zen students asked me recently about meditating with chronic pain. And we ended up having a really good discussion around this. And I thought I would share what came out of that conversation with you all. But before we get into chronic pain, I also wanted to talk about the pain that comes from just sitting in meditation. No matter how comfortable you are at the beginning of your session, eventually your body is going to start to complain. And this is because our bodies are built for movement more than they are to sit still. Blood begins to pool on whatever the surface is that's meeting the ground or the chair to support us, and muscles start to get tight, etc. When this happens, the conventional wisdom that I have heard from meditation instructors in the West is to take 10 mindful breaths before you change posture. This is really good advice if you're just uncomfortable rather than full on pain, or you just have the fidgets, right? Because sometimes that happens in meditation. We're just like, I can't sit still any longer. And so we want to move for the sake of moving. So try the 10 mindful breaths. And if you find that you can't pay attention because your discomfort is so great, then at that point, go ahead and move because you're not meditating. You're just counting these 10 breaths, waiting to be able to move. So at that point, you may as well just go ahead and shift your posture. Now, when you are sitting, if you have actual pain, move immediately. Forget the 10 mindful breaths. Pain is your body's way of letting you know that you are in imminent danger of an injury. If you don't move this thing, you're going to get injured, and now you're going to have bigger problems. So go ahead. If the knee says, ow, we really need some relief, go ahead and move your knee. When you are moving in meditation, especially if you were in a meditation hall, there's lots of other people there, try to do it in a way that's respectful to the people around you. So don't just like flail about and, if you've got a blanket around you, shake out your blanket, move all around and that sort of thing. But do it in a way that's slow and calm. Not so slow that it's like excruciatingly slow, but just, a relaxed pace. Move the minimum amount that you need to get the job done. Try not to make a lot of noise. And this is helpful when you are meditating alone as well, because it just helps keep you more centered and present. What about chronic pain? Chronic pain might be something that you're going to have to deal with the rest of your life, or it might be something that you're going to have to deal with for a certain number of days or weeks or months. When I was going through breast cancer, I had chronic pain, but I knew that it was temporary. It was caused not by the cancer itself, but by the treatment for the cancer. And I knew that this too shall pass. Eventually, I didn't know when, but eventually it would stop or I would die. One of those two things would happen. I mean, either the cancer was going to kill me or the treatment would work. But either way, there was a finite amount of time I was going to be in this pain. That sounds really morbid, but I don't mean it to be so. That was just where I was at the time. I was very much in acceptance of these are the options. Odds are I'm going to heal. And I did. Here I am to complain about it. So, woohoo. What do you do then when you're trying to meditate and something hurts a lot, or maybe just a little, but it's been hurting for a long time? And so it's sucking your attention. What can you do? Well, there's two ways that you can approach this. And I think that one is a more basic way, and the other one I think of as being more advanced. So let's start with the basic way. And this is what I did when I had cancer. And that is, I treated the pain signals from my body the same way that I treat thoughts that arise when I'm meditating. We look at thoughts as just this transitory phenomenon. They appear like clouds in a clear blue sky form, and then they dissipate like clouds in the clear blue sky disappear. And that's how thoughts are, and that's how I looked at the pain. It's not gonna, maybe it will be here for a very long time, but it is what it is. And just observing it kind of very distantly and mostly focusing on my breath is what I personally did. You can use whatever focus works for you. I think most meditators around the world probably use the breath, but there's a lot of different ways you can approach meditation. So if you have one you like, continue to do that. You can also listen to guided meditations, which I also did a lot when I had cancer, especially pain management meditations. And I found some of those to be really helpful. The idea here is not to focus on the pain, but to allow the pain to recede into the background of awareness and instead focus on the meditative focus, the breath, the candle flame, the visualization, the guided meditation, whatever it happens to be. That's a very good practice for working with pain, trying to just get some relaxation when you're hurting. And it creates some space around the sensation of pain and some distance between your mind and the pain signals coming into your brain. That you are not the pain. You're not overwhelmed by the pain. The pain is one thing that's happening, but the breath is also happening. And maybe you can be aware of other things that are happening. The guided meditation, the dog coming and going in and out of the room, whatever is happening in your environment, those things are all on the same level with the pain you're experiencing. And then your meditative focus, that one thing, is your primary point of concentration. So that is, I find, an excellent way of meditating when you're in pain. Now, what I refer to as the more advanced method is using the pain as the focus. I don't recommend this unless you've been meditating for a while. What's a while? I don't know. It depends on you. For me, I would say I wouldn't have wanted to try this until I had been meditating at least 5 years. You may be a faster learner than I was, though, and it might not take you as long. I don't know. But when you feel ready to give it a try, then you can use the pain as the focus. You're looking directly at that pain. Rather than following your breath, you're turning inward and looking at the pain sensation. Where is it in your body? How bad is it? How strong is it? Bad is not a good word to use in this sense. How strong is the pain signal from your body? Can you do anything about that right now? Should you do anything about that right now? If not, keep meditating. What is the quality of the pain? Is it dull? Is it sharp? Is it steady state? Is it pulsing? These are all things that you can look at as you are meditating. And these inputs may change moment to moment. So you can continue to look at this. Be aware that you are not the pain. The pain is one thing that's happening, just like breath is happening and your heartbeat is happening. These things are happening in your body, but they are not you. If you feel like you're getting overwhelmed by this or you're starting to dissociate in an uncomfortable way, then pull back from this meditation and focus on something else. Say, nope, the pain is not going to overwhelm me, and go ahead and concretize, solidify that sense of self in that moment. I am going to meditate on this instead, and that's perfectly fine. Okay? We need to balance our meditation practice with our mental health. And knowing more now than the Buddha did 2,500 plus years ago, we know that sometimes things come up in meditation, especially if you're looking straight into the pain. It might turn around and bite you on the butt. So be aware of that and be cautious and be prepared to pull yourself back out. It's fine. It's absolutely fine. Look, all of the stuff that we do in meditation is a grand experiment. We're looking at our mind and we're seeing how do we hold our mind moment to moment. When you're looking at the pain, do you get overwhelmed? Do you get frustrated? Do you get angry? Or are you calm and serene about it? What's happening? What's going on? And just look at it from a point of being interested and not with having a goal of, well, I want to be calm. Don't worry about it. Keep doing it and you will. I mean, that's just the natural course of events. So keep practicing and things will shift, but you don't have to force it. You don't have to have a goal or a plan. Just sit and see what happens. And that meditation then prepares us to get off the mat, up off the chair, wherever we are, and go back out into the world with a more centered and composed presence. So we can be present for other people as well as for ourselves. So those are my thoughts on sitting with pain. If it's the pain from sitting in meditation, just shift quietly, mindfully, with intention. Shift. Find a comfortable and stable seat. If you're dealing with chronic pain, work with the breath. Or another focus. I like the breath. Treat the pain as you do thoughts that come and go during a meditation period. If you want to try a more advanced technique and you feel comfortable with that, use the pain itself as your focus, but be prepared to disconnect from that focus if it starts to overwhelm you. I hope that that's helpful. I hope that you're not dealing with any chronic pain, but at some point in our lives, most of us will have some period where we're going through something. So when that happens, I hope that this has given you some tools for how to take care of yourself. Thank you and have a great day. Bye-bye.